Back in Nico's apartment.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, hi. Come in, Josh.
Bet he didn't knock again. So we've got the scroll from the safe at the hotel. Now we need to discuss it. First of all, the matchbook.
I found this matchbook in the killer's hotel room. It's from the Club Alamut.
Never heard of it. Is there anything written inside it?
No, what were you expecting?
If this was a movie, there'd be a clue. A name or an address. That's no use. There aren't even any matches in it.
Oh well, I'll keep it as a souvenir.
A matchbook with no matches. Right, let's
Do you
talk
have
to
a
you.
boyfriend?
Not anymore. There
Aha.
was someone. A guy in my final year, but it didn't work out.
Not the question I
Neither
thought
did
he was
my
going to
degree.
ask.
I'm sorry.
I'm not.
Tell me more about your family.
When I was a little girl, I used to spend the winter with my grandfather and grandma. They were the best times. Warm and safe in their tiny cottage. My
Backstory.
grandfather rolled cigarettes while grandma made hot chocolate and cakes. One day, he stopped his rolling. He put the lid back on his tobacco jar and took me in his arms. I laughed and wriggled, but he hushed me to be silent. With his unshaven chin all scratchy in my ear, he told me his secret.
What did he say?
He said, I don't smoke, but she likes to think I do.
What a weird
Oh.
old man.
Don't call my grandfather weird. He was the nicest guy ever. I wish I was back in that cottage instead of this crummy apartment in this noisy city.
Fair enough.
What are you doing to help trace the killer clown?
Research, Josh.
Yeah? You have a copy of the clown's yearbook?
I have a telephone and lots of contacts.
Oh. Well, did you find anything useful?
Not yet. I'm employing my first and most useful weapon.
What's that?
Patience.
Oh, I've heard of that.
I thought that
Isn't
was
it
going
a
to be
substitute for decisive thinking?
it. It might be. Right, let's do
I
this.
found this in the killer's room.
Suspending the
What is it? A credit card?
excitement.
ID. Thomas Merlin of the Gruber Electronics Corporation.
Never heard of him or the company.
Sounds German.
You're just not going to believe what I've found.
It's not another part of the clown's costume, is it?
Not a tissue.
It's a medieval manuscript. Khan left it in the safe at the U-Boo.
It's incredible. Is this what he took from Plantar?
It could be.
Well, that's
Which
definitely a
means
thing.
it's worth enough to kill for.
Look there, two guys on the same horse.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they couldn't afford one each. What of it?
Have you ever heard of the Knights Templar? Their official seal was an image of two knights sharing a horse. Whatever this manuscript means, it's connected with the Templars.
How come you know about these knights?
I learned about them while writing an article on the Crusades.
Story time.
This guy, named Hughes de Payen, arrived one day at the court of King of Jerusalem. He offered to protect the Christian pilgrims from the displaced Muslim armies. The king would be able to guarantee safe transit to Christians in the Holy Land. Safer journeys meant more pilgrims, and pilgrims meant trade and
I
wealth.
mean, the music's way too
The
loud for her
Templars
voice.
proved invaluable to the king as a mercenary army. It was said that they never asked how many the enemy numbered, just where they were. And as the years went by, the Templars grew in wealth and number. They were so rich, even kings came to them for loans. But at the height of their power, they fell foul of the King of France. He rounded them up and turned them over to the Inquisition. Thousands of Templars were subject to torture and confessed to heresy. Of course, at the hands of the Inquisition, there wasn't much they wouldn't confess to. The last Grand Master Jacques de Molay was burned alive.
Jeez.
That ended
So the
abruptly.
treasure is hidden, waiting to be discovered?
If there ever was a treasure, it's been lost for 600 years. Anyway, we're supposed to be investigating a serial killer, not a medieval treasure trove.
But maybe that's what the clown and his accomplices are after.
Could be.
Maybe this manuscript is the key.
You'd better leave it here for safekeeping.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Let's take another look at the manuscript.
Right, we've got the people in the middle.
Look there, two guys on the same horse.
And what's this? A cow and a gem.
There's a guy with a sword and a bull.
The only mythological bull I know of is the Minotaur, but he was only half bull.
I don't think I'd like to be half a bull, even if it was the bottom half.
What's that object
Cheeky.
between them?
It looks like a gem on top of a tripod.
Could be. What about this one?
There's a guy working on a loom. He's weaving a carpet or a tapestry.
Or a duvet cover? It's a clue to a place, I reckon. Somewhere famed for weaving and ships.
Where folk live in barrels?
It beats copper boxes.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay, what about this one?
A knight with a crystal ball. Now, there's something written on the scroll beside the knight.
Yes, but it's written in Latin. Per disciplinam mea lux videbis.
By my teachings, you will see the light.
You speak Latin? Where did you learn a trick like that?
A trick? I studied law, okay? I can read Latin.
Man, you're touchy. Tell me that again.
Okay, what about the weird mirror?
There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces.
She reminds me of the wicked queen in Snow White.
She was the one who said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall," wasn't she? She made me cry so much when I was a kid. Mom carried me out of the movie theater.
She didn't frighten me in the least.
Like I said, I was only a kid. I didn't like the crocodile in Peter Pan either.
Let's face it, we need help,
Such a
George.
sensitive boy.
Someone who knows about these things.
Who do you suggest? Indiana Jones?
I know a guy who specializes in medieval studies. His name is Lobino.
Huh. Some stuffy old fossil who gets horny over ancient relics, I suppose.
Far from it. Andre isn't the stereotypical professor you have in mind.
Where can I find this Lobino guy?
At the Kroon Museum. I'll give you the address.
New museum to go to. Okay, let's
I
go.
have to go.
Okay. Don't forget to look for Lobino at the Kroon Museum.
That's exactly where I'm going. Okay. She know where it is. The match.
Oh, hi.
Hello, my handsome friend.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
No, but I can tell you one thing. There's
Oh?
no such place as the Club à la Moute in Paris.
Handy.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur. You will.
She's always get the same parting message. Right, so there's definitely no a place like that in Paris. Museum next. Okay.
Pardon me.
Oui, monsieur?
Are you Lobino?
Oh, no. Fancy you mistaking me for him. No. I am the deputy custodian.
But Lobino does work here.
Work? I wouldn't go so far as to call it there. He studies here most days, but as you can see for yourself, not today.
Okay.
Do you know anything about medieval manuscripts?
Not me, monsieur. I am no scholar. Though people often mistake me for one. It is the uniform, I guess. They see the clothes. They are impressed.
And they ask you to park their cars?
They ask me to park the... No. They assume I am an authority on the exhibits in my care.
Whereas you know next to nothing about history.
Of course not. All I am saying is, I am no scholar.
Didn't he back
not
himself
like
into a corner
Monsieur
there, didn't he?
Lobino.
Right, okay. Let's have a look
Have
at
you
this.
ever heard of the Club Alamut?
Oh no, I don't frequent places like that.
Fair enough. What about the guy in here?
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur. Is there any reason why I should?
Don't tell me the
No, I
colour.
guess not.
It was just an off
Do you know
chance.
anything about the Knights of the Temple?
No, sir. Not a sausage.
Sausage.
Thanks for your help.
That is a tripod.
In the case was a spindly tripod, blackened with age and pitted with rust. It was identical to the tripod pictured on the manuscript.
That
A
was what
notice
I was
identified
thinking.
it as 15th century from Western Ireland. It had been found in Loch Marne at the site of a Knights Templar preceptory. Ireland!
What's that?
This tripod was found in Ireland.
I will have to ask you to keep your voice down.
There's
I'm
nobody else in
sorry,
here.
I was excited.
excited about Ireland. That's a window.
A metal rod attached to the wall was connected to the window.
Okay.
The totem pole looked distinctly out of place in the setting of the museum.
It didn't follow the...
It was an
Oh, the
ancient
vibe.
Egyptian sarcophagus with a beautifully painted effigy of its owner on the lid.
Don't touch things in the museum. So what do I do? Why did I not get arrow for that?
Leave it alone. That closet is over 3,000 years old.
Closet? It's a sarcophagus.
Okay.
Pardon me.
Oui, monsieur?
Anything else?
Can you give me any further information about the tripod?
Certainly, monsieur. It's infamous. That tripod, that belonged to John Dee.
John Dee.
What's the importance of John Dee's tripod?
Dee was the most famous escapologist of the 16th century. The Houdini of his time.
And he
Don't
had a
you mean
tripod.
alchemist? Escapologists use ropes, chains, and handcuffs, not tripods.
But whatever he was, that is the tripod he used in his experiments.
Alchemy.
What kind of experiments did John Dee perform with his tripod?
Oh, the usual. Didn't you study chemistry at school?
Yeah, but we skipped over thaumatology.
Thaumatology. What on earth is thaumatology? Somebody will need to let me know that one.
Can I take a closer look at the tripod?
What? Get it out of the case? Ah, no! That tripod is protected by a sophisticated surveillance system.
How sophisticated?
A painfully loud alarm bell.
How is the alarm bell triggered?
By the slightest pressure on or movement of any part of the case wherein that tripod is situated.
It strikes me that to call your alarm system sophisticated is, well, stretching the truth a little.
It has
Well,
never
that-
failed yet. The sophistication is in its simplicity.
Okay.
Thanks for your help.
Can I sneak in here where he's not looking? Ah. While he was shutting the window.
This is ridiculous. I could be here for hours.
Oh, come on. Thought I was onto something there. Okay. We need to go and tell Nico.
Hi. I've been to the Kroon Museum.
Did you speak to Lobineau?
No, he wasn't there.
Believe it or not.
I found the tripod.
Where?
In the museum. It belonged to the Templars. It was dug up in Ireland at a place called Loch Marne.
I have heard of Lochmarn. I read an article about the castle. Take a look for yourself.
A popular gossip magazine. You read that rubbish?
No, I write it.
Oops.
Professor Nigel Pegram, excavating the medieval
Pegram?
castle at Loch Marne. That's strange.
What?
He resigned his chair at Durham University in order to devote his time to the excavation. Not only that,
That is weird.
but he canceled the filming of a fourth series of his popular television program. This site at Loch Marne must be awful important to him.
He's a professor of history. They're all cuckoo.
All the
Believe it.
same, I'd like to talk to this Professor Pegram. How do you feel about a trip to Ireland?
Disappointed.
Huh?
But I won't be going. I want to follow up the Bellotta case. If you really think Picram's dam is important, why don't you visit Lochmarn?
On my own? I'm not so sure about that. Where is Ireland exactly?
Really? You don't know where Ireland is?
Have you found out any more about the murders?
Well, it may be nothing, but both the clan's victims visited Paris earlier this year.
When?
The second week of July. They were both here at the same time.
Did they meet?
The coded
I don't
message.
know, but I can't imagine it was coincidence.
Let's take another look at the manuscript.
That's one.
There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod.
Okay. I'm happy with that. I have to go through them all.
A knight with a crystal ball. The knight scroll bears a phrase in Latin. Through my teachings, you will be enlightened.
A knight with a crystal ball. That doesn't mean anything.
There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces.
And then
There's a guy
something
working
weaving
on
by
a
the sea.
loom.
Okay, last
Look
one.
there, 2 guys on the same horse.
She actually made me
I
go through it
have to
all.
go.
Okay, I'll see you later.
Let's go then. To Ireland. That would be a good place for an episode to end, wouldn't it?